So before we head out and see the projects, Blanket and Bilboes and Motapa, we're gonna get Mark introduced here. So Mark's the CEO of Caledonia, and I think why don't you start off by telling a bit about yourself and how you got involved with Caledonia in the first place?
Yeah, morning. Thanks for having me. I've been with Caledonia since 2008. Before that, I was an investment banker based in Johannesburg, focused on the resources space. And after investment banking for sort of 20 years or something, I decided it was probably time to actually start to propagate my own business, or a business that I've got some sort of stake in, rather than interfering in other people's business. So I took the decision to join what was then a very small mining company, at that point focused on cobalt exploration in Zambia, which didn't go anywhere. But within the portfolio, we had the Blanket mine, which we've transformed, and so that's what I've been keeping ourselves busy with since 2008, and it's been very, very, very interesting and very rewarding, and I wish I'd done it sooner.
So for those that are not familiar with Caledonia at all at this point in time, could you just give a high-level description of where the company is at now, and then I'll ask you about sort of the journey to get there.
Yeah, we're a Jersey registered company, Jersey Channel Islands, listed primarily in New York. That's where the vast bulk of our trading takes place. Also on AIM, and then interestingly enough, also on the Victoria Falls Stock Exchange in Zimbabwe, which has actually been quite good for us. We've now focused the asset portfolio down to gold in Zimbabwe. So in 2008, when I started out, it was a very diverse mishmash of assets all over Africa. There's gold in South Africa, gold in Zimbabwe, diamonds in Zambia. It was a complete mess. So we focused it down onto gold in Zimbabwe. The core asset is currently something called the Blanket mine, which we bought in 2006 off Kinross as they left the country. We paid about $4 million for that asset. At that time, it was producing about 20,000 ounces of gold a year, so it was very small. Since then, we've increased production fourfold, and it's now running at anything between 75 and 80,000 ounces a year. We've invested heavily. We must have invested probably $250 million in Blanket Mine to effectively build a new mine underneath the old underground mine. It's an underground mine that operates now down to a level about 4,000 feet below surface, and that's the current operating portfolio, and that produces about 80,000 ounces of gold a year, and this gold price generates about $2 million of cash flow a week. So that was really a very nice acquisition for us. And then more recently, we've acquired other assets in Zimbabwe. We think Zimbabwe is geologically outstanding for gold, and whilst it is somewhat tricky place to operate, we know how to do it, and so we're very comfortable operating in Zimbabwe. The main asset that we'll be developing in the next few years is the Bilboes project, which we bought for $65 million a year or so ago, and that has a PEA supporting a 10-year life of mine, producing an average of about 150,000 ounces a year over those 10 years at an all-in sustaining cost of just below $1,000 an ounce. So at this gold price, it is a highly profitable, very economically satisfying project. Then we've also got a gold exploration project immediately adjacent to Bilboes, which will take some time to do some work on, but we think that could be anything like as big and as exciting as Bilboes as itself. And then last, but I'm afraid least, is an asset that we bought for about $4 million further north in Zimbabwe, which has got about 1 million ounces of resources. But that very much will be the third cab off the rank behind Bilboes and Motapa. So that's an overview as to where we are. We're capitalised at, our share price has run quite strongly. We're capitalised at about $300 million at the moment.
And I guess for Zimbabwe, you've been in the country now for a long time. You've been able to pull out money, paying dividends, for over a decade successfully. So could you just outline your experience working in Zim? What are some of the challenges that people might face operating there, and how do you address them?
Yeah, let's start with the good stuff first. The good stuff is that the labour force in Zimbabwe is outstandingly good. It's very well educated, comparable to Western European educations. You have no no impediment talking to even quite junior people in the organisation. They're intelligent, hardworking, well educated, with a good background in mining. So that's critical. The biggest operating issue we face is electricity, but that's by no means a problem solely confined to Zimbabwe. And the issue really is that Zimbabwe doesn't produce enough power for its own domestic needs, and in addition, the reticulation system, the grid, is very poor quality, so it's subject to load shedding, and then if it's not load shedding, it's just frequent breakdowns, and so you can work around that. We've got 20% of our power comes from a solar project, which we're currently in the process of selling, although we'll retain access to the power it produces. We're investigating increasing that further. You need to have diesel gensets, and then also you take what you can from the grid. Probably the most challenging thing commercially is just navigating the regulatory environment. The rules and regulations are complex. And very hard to navigate. Now, if you just walk into the country, with no previous experience, you'd struggle to find your way around those sort of labyrinthine, Byzantine sort of structures. Because we've been doing it for so long, we know how to do it, and it's just process. It's a matter of simply doing the right things in the right order at the right time to get the desired outcomes. We're quite good at that. So you're quite right. We've operated successfully in country for well over a decade, and we've been paying a dividend for many quarters now, and that's testament to our ability to operate successfully commercially in Zimbabwe, and as you point out, to get the money out of the right place to the right time.
Exactly. So I think before we jump into and actually see Blanket on the ground, could you just characterize the high level strategy for Blanket specifically before we dig into things there?
Yeah, okay. Blanket is an underground operation. It's got a strike length of about 3 kilometres, running north to south. In addition to that, we have probably another 3 kilometres, 2 kilometres to one side and another kilometre to the other side. But the mine, for various reasons, has focused on that core area of 3 kilometres. And over the course, it started producing in 1907. So over the course of the last 120 years or so, it's just gone deeper and deeper and deeper. When we bought it, it was operating down to 750 metres below surface. Basically, we ran out of material above 750 metres to run the mine at a level of activity that was economic. So we had no choice. We had to go deeper. And so starting in 2015, we started sinking what we call the central shaft, which is a shaft in the middle of the mining property, as the name suggests, from surface down to 1,200 metres. That's about 4,000 feet. And that gave us access to a whole new raft of material from 750 metres down to 1,200 metres. And we're now busy exploiting that. The ore is a free milling sulfide, so it comes out half the gold comes out as free gold through a sort of a Gemini table, and the other half comes out through a standard CIL plant. So there's nothing particularly complex about that. And we send the gold through to a government-owned refinery, and they refine the doré, which we produce on mine. They refine that up to about 99.5%, and then we export that gold ourselves and sell it offshore, either into the LBMA market or through Dubai. I think that's probably the highest level view I could give on Blanket. We've got a 10-year life of mine, so we've recently restarted our exploration efforts because we've now got more logistical capacity at deeper levels of the mine. So we got a very successful exploration program. We've got a 10-year life of mine based on reserves, and a life of mine out to 2041 based on lower level, including lower confidence level material. And we continue to explore and we continue to find more material. So I'm very comfortable that Blanket will continue well beyond 2041, both going deeper and also reinvestigating more shallow areas of the mine, which frankly people just ignored in their quest to go deeper and deeper. And that's before we begin to look at the 2 kilometres to the north and the 1 kilometre to the south. So I think Blanket has a lot of potential either to extend its mine life out beyond 2041 and or maybe in due course begin to increase production. But it's going to be difficult it's going to be difficult to take it up from 80,000 ounces to say 120 or 130. I think any increase in the blanket may be relatively modest, maybe an extra 10,000 ounces here or there. And so our growth, our explosive growth, is really focused on Bilboes, with blanket as the near-term cash generator, which keeps the lights on and pays the bills and allows us to make some progress with Bilboes.
We'll hear about the sort of effectivizations that can be done at blanket later on here. But I guess without further ado, let's just get onto the ground and see what the cash cow looks like. Okay, so we've just arrived here at the blanket mine, and we're standing here with Kex and Mangesi. And we're right here, actually behind us is the new shaft that has been built, commissioned in 2022. So I think, Kexton, you worked here for a very long time, since the late 60s. Yeah. So can you tell your story, I mean, your involvement with the operation, tell me your current role and your journey through with the blanket mine?
Yes, I joined blanket mine in 1969, in the technical department, and I worked through the ranks up to the middle 70s, when I started progressed into the management role. And around about 1989, I took over the management of blanket mine. And in 1993, I took over general manager of blanket mine 1983 Private Limited. During that period, we experienced a change of hands from Falconbridge Limited to Kinross Gold Corporation, from Kinross Gold Corporation culminating into 2006 when Caledonia took over. And I've been with Caledonia as their general manager up until 2022, when I became VP Operations in Zimbabwe. During that period, we have obviously seen a lot of change within the organization, from a small producer to quite a large-sized producer that it is today. We saw various programs coming in, starting off with Kinross, with the expansion of the plant in 1994, where we pushed a new tailings facilities to treat all the tailings around the mine, as part of it as an environmental cleanup, and secondly, to raise funds for an underground expansion, which that culminated into the number 4 shaft project, what we call number 4 shaft project. We saw blanket mine increase production from 25,000 ounces a year to 40,000 ounces a year. And from there on, we progressed into the central shaft, which is behind us here. And that started up in around about 2015, and culminating into 2022 when it was fully commissioned as a standalone shaft.
And then this shaft, just to give some context, because I know that the other shaft goes down about 750 meters. So this shaft, what's the implication for Caledonia? You've extended your mine life significantly, and how deep does this shaft go, and what does it mean for the company?
This shaft is 1,200 meters in depth, compared to the 4 shaft, which is down around about 900 meters in depth. So what that means is that with this shaft, we completely open the new mine to the depth of 1,200, whereas the old mine terminated around about 750. So the distance between 750 and 1,200 makes up a new mine, where we are going to do all the development of the new, opening out the new ore bodies and stuff like that. Fortunately for us, with the amount of work that we've done, the mineralization depth carries on to below 1,200. So yes, it opened up a new horizon for Caledonia in terms of the sustenance of business to below the 750 level.
So now you've extended the mine life to 2041, I think.
Yeah, to 2041. That's indicative right now, including all the drilling that we've done. Yeah.
And then you have the TSF in the background, which is work in progress, but you're currently using it partially, but it will be completed in a few years from now, completely, right?
Yes, we're a tailings facility that we've used up until, I would say basically this year. And then we transgress that to a new tailings facility here, which will take up all the tailings of the mine until beyond 2041. Yes.
And then tell me about because you have most of your workers living here, very close to Blanket. Can you tell me about the housing that you have for your employees and how that has evolved? How many people work here at Blanket and how many live very close to it?
Well, practically everybody that works for Blanket, the 2019 odd people, live around the mine itself. There is a complete self-contained village that is managed by the mine all along. And it's because of the latest expansion that is going on. Amenities for our employees have also taken off as a demand because of naturally the growth in the population of people.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you employ 2,000 people directly or just above that, but how many do you think you employ indirectly with all of the families living here and so on?
Well, I would say basically for every employee here, there's probably 20 other people out there who depend on them.
Right.
So yeah, there's quite a large population that depends on Blanket. In actual fact, Blanket mine as we stand around is actually an oasis. And a lot of people depend on it.
And before we go take a look, I know you have some CIR initiatives here. Can you tell us a bit about what you've tried to do for the community here in terms of school, housing and schooling and things like this?
Well, starting off with our own employees, we do look after their children to go to school. We transport them to school, make sure that they are well educated. And then the schools where they're going to, we put money into to upgrade the schools to a more modern schools, introducing IT classes and science classes and stuff like that. And we have taken that and translated it into the community around us, where we have done for about 4 schools already. And we're in the process right now of providing borehole clean water for the community around us. We're drilling lots of boreholes around us here so that the community can be supplied with cleaner water and also have nutritional gardens for them to grow their own greens and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I think, we'll take a look at all of these initiatives, including the solar farm you guys have in the backup power facilities and new TSF, the shaft here. But I think let's follow the flow of the ore. So let's head down into the shaft and then we'll take a look at the plant and the flow when the ore is coming up for processing. So
Good.
Let's get to it.
Good.
All right, so now we've come down. We have the new shaft here behind us, but just before we go in, we want to introduce Elton Guantizzo, who's the general manager. And maybe you can introduce yourself, Elton, and tell about how long you've worked here and so on, and what your role is.
Okay, I'm Elton Guantizzo. I'm the general manager for Blanket Mine. I joined the Blanket Mine early 2023, so I've been here just over 1.5 years. Yes.
So I think before we go in, let's just talk about this new shaft. So first of all, before you built this shaft, what was the capacity of the old shaft? So how much of an upgrade is this? Obviously you can go further down into the mine with this shaft, but how much more ore can you pull out of this shaft per day?
Well, before we put in the central shaft, Blanket's capacity was limited to between 1,000 and 1,200 tons a day. Okay. Now, with the introduction of this shaft, we can pull way over 3,000 tons a day. So that's a magnitude of the increase in terms of volumes imparted by this project. The shaft is a 6-meter diameter shaft. It's got 2 services in one shaft. The material service, which is the winder behind you, and the rock winding, which is the winder on my right. So these 2 winders operate in the same shaft and do different functions.
And can you move men down at the same time? So it's a 3-compartment shaft.
Yeah, it is basically 4 compartment shaft.
Okay, the rock compartment has got 2 skips, and the materials and main compartment has got 1 main cage and a counterweight. So you can move them differently, doing different functions.
So it sounds like, I mean, currently the plant, and we'll go there, and we've been to the plant. So if you compare the throughput that you can do in terms of mining and pulling ore out to the constraint of the plant, so is the current constraint the plant or is it the mining? If you wanted to increase volumes.
If we increase this shaft to its full capacity, the constraints will move to the plant, yes.
Are there any plans potentially to increase the plant volumes, or do you think it's going to have to be a little bit further down the road?
Well, be further down the road. I mean, there's a lot to be considered before those parameters are looked at in detail. In terms of the capacity of the mine, remember, this is just a shaft. We have to develop the mine underneath to make those ores available for production.
So if you wanted to say increase volumes here at Blanket, how much more time do you think is required in terms of development to opening new sections in the mines you can actually pull that much ore out? Is that years away or 6 months away, or what do you think?
I would say probably a year and a bit of intensive development. Okay, we'll open up more production areas underground.
I think that gives a pretty good pretext before we head down. So I think Elton we'll head over to the shaft and change clothes there and go down into the mine and showcase the new shaft and showcase all the development.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Elton Gwatidzo, once again, General Manager, Blanket Mine. We are here at Central Shaft. We are now going underground. Central Shaft is sunk up to 1,230 meters from surface. We are going to be witnessing some underground operation, drilling, ore movement, loading system, and a couple of support services for underground. I'll hand over to Newton Gwatura, the mining manager, who's going to give us a bit of more detail of where exactly we are going. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Newton Gwatura. As the GM has already alluded to, I'm the mining manager for Blanket Mine. I'm going to show you, take you underground. I want to show you 26 level. 26 level, I will show you the tipping that is happening there, to mobile equipment, the dump trucks that are operating in that area. From there, I will take you down to the 35 level where we are going to see some of the projects that we are currently taking place there.
Hello, my name is David Dube. I'm the Mineral Resources Manager at Blanket Mine. I've been at Blanket Mine since 2019. I joined as a geology manager and was promoted to Mineral Resources Manager in 2024. I've worked on various gold mines along the Greenstone Belt here in Zimbabwe. I've also worked outside as an exploration geologist, but I started off my career at AA Mines as a graduate trainee geologist in 1996. So I've been working as a geologist since then. Then I'll just take you through the Blanket long section. This is further to the north. We have got the Lima ore body. We have mined up to 510 level. We are currently developing at 750, taking up so that we can join the rest. Then we'll continue drilling further down deep. Then this is Eureka, further to the south of Lima. Then we've got the sheet ore body that comes after. Then we've got the AR main and the AR south ore body, and the central shaft, the new shaft that was developed to 34 level. This is where you will go through and come to the Blanket ore bodies in your visit underground. So then we have got the Jetro to the further to the south. So basically our ore bodies stretch from the north to the south, striking over a 2.5 kilometer stretch. And we are currently operating in all the ore bodies except sheet, which is narrowing and tapping as we go down and also disappearing. This is our exploration section, as I will call it. We have worked up to 34, so this is the plan to take it to below 34 up to about 46 level, and plans are there again to go beyond the 46 level. And then typically our core looks like this. Further, we start off in the country rock, which is hornblende chloride schist. Then we go into the alteration zone. So we start sampling further into the hanging ore. Then we go into the shear zone, where typically you'll start to see gradational increase in sulfide content, and the shearing intensity also increases, which you can see typified by bending, where you see your silica and your altered micas, which show typical of alteration. Then our sulfides, basically we've got 3 sulfides: the arsenopyrite, pyrrhotite, and a little bit of pyrite. That's what we normally see, and our gold is wasted in arsenopyrite. Typically, I'll show you one of the rocks that show arsenopyrite in a unit that shows arsenopyrite. Here is typically arsenopyrite, sulfide, the shiny silvery sulfide, and then these are the units. These are basic units of our rock.
We are now going to 26 level, where we are going to see a dump truck tipping.
So drilling will see, but you are drilling put it on leg and then you can hang it.
We are now at 26 level grizzly. That's where all the ore from this level is tipped. You can come closer. So that's the grizzly, and those are the apertures. On this central shaft, we have got only one load level, which is 35 level, where we have got a conveyor belt which leads into the flask. So this ore pass is connected to all the ore passes. That's from 26 level, from 22 level, 26 level, 30 level, 34 level. We then take the ore from 35 level. These are 10-ton dump trucks. So we realize almost 9 tons when it ships.
So this load right here, on this level, what kind of grade would you expect this ore to carry?
In this level, we expect an average of 3.5 grams per ton combined. There is a hammer in there. So when you put it on the rock that you want to break, and you apply the percussion, the hammer is the one that breaks the rock. That's what you are seeing. Now we are going down to the 35 level, where I want to show you the dewatering process that is taking place there. I also want to show you the main loading level. That's where we load all the ore from this shaft. So let's go down to 35 level. This is 35 level. You can see from there. So we want to take you to the dams there. This is the first area that you are going. I have the engineering manager who is in charge of that project. He will just give you that's Kelvin McCays. I can give him the mic. Yeah.
What we'll do, we will go and start at the back there, where the process starts. So let's go and start from the back. Right, our process starts here, where we have got a settler above here, which starts from here all the way to 34 level. It's a 5-meter settler, high-speed clarifier, which takes all the effluent from drilling water from various sections, and then it is settled, and the clear water goes to the other side, and then the muddy water reduced to about 1.2%, 1.2 SG, which then gravitates through here. It is controlled by this valve, which goes into any one of these two pumps here, which then pump the water through an 80-millimeter pipeline all the way to surface. So we're looking at about a pumping rate of 6 liters per second. That's around 22 cubic meters per 16 to 22 cubic meters per hour. This is a distance of about 1,200 meters all the way to the plant. So we run one pump at a time. In between here, there's a T-way, which helps us to service the two sections from above the settler and all the way to here. It's about a 40-meter height T-way. Here we have got a clear water dam that's stretching from here all the way to 34, a 5-meter diameter over 40 meters. That's over 700 cubic meters of clear water. It's sucked through this contraption, which is a 400-millimeter suction pipe, where it is screened here for any debris before it is split into these two pumps, which are multi-stage pumps, 12-stage Scamont pumps, which also pump through a 200-millimeter diameter pipeline from here to 22 level. That's from a distance of about 400 meters. And it pumps at the maximum discharge rate at peak of about 220 cubic meters per hour. Basically, this is the this is a highly sophisticated control system where we control the pumps based on the dam level, as well as the whole operational logistics of the controlled by a PLC, and obviously our opening and closing of such site is based on the reading of suction site, as well as pressure build-up in the pump. I think the next side is the power supply system at the back there. So yeah, we have got these two soft starters for controlling the startup of the multi-stage pump because of the high pressure that they started, so that we don't overload our pumps. They are for the 400 kilowatt pumps, those two pumps that we are using for the multi-stage pumps. But like I said, you can come this side as well. These two panels are also to control those two positive displacement pumps that are pumping to surface. They are at 525, 550 volt, unlike those ones which are running at 6.6.
We can now move to the conveyor belt where we are loading our ore and waste. So let's come. Right. This type level conveyor belt. It's 10-50 millimeters wide. It moves at 3 meters per second. Avoid rolling back. Okay. So this is chip 1. That's why we are taking our ore from. There is another waste pass there, which is chip 2, which carries waste all the way from 22 level to this level. So that's the waste pass there, chip 2. They serve the same purpose. It's only the other one is for ore and the other one is for waste. All the setup and everything is okay. It's the same. So this is what we have here in the 35 level. Now we are going up to 34 level. I want to show you a development end at 34 haulage north. So that's at 990 level from the surface. Now, this is 34 level, our main development level. We are now heading north. So we are going to travel about 1.5 kilometers to get there. I will show you on the plan when we go out. So let's go. So this is the haulage, the irregular not haulage. It's a 4 meters by 3 meters dimension. So we drew using jack hammers. Jack hammers are these ones. This is the jack hammer. Yes. Then we charge using handful. Then in terms of flashing, I will show you the air loader that is parked there, that we use for cleaning this round. Yes. So this ends advanced on a daily basis.
Okay, so we're up again from the underground. We went down all the way to level 35. So Kexton, maybe you can summarize what we've seen down there.
Okay, thanks, Tom. Basically, as he says, we're up from the shaft. We went down to 26 level, which is about 750, 780 meters, or 870 meters to be quite exact. In that level, we saw basically ore handling systems where dump trucks were coming from the stops where ore is broken and delivering to the ore passes on the shaft so that the material can land at the bottom of the loading chute and be brought up to surface. From there, we went down to 35 level, which is the bottommost level, where ore is handled from all over levels, which is 22, 26, 30, and 34 levels. That ore is channeled down to 35, where it collects in 2 passes and is delivered to the shaft via conveyor and loaded into 10-ton skips and hoisted up to surface, where it's crushed and taken to the mill. From there, we then went up to the source where the ore is coming from, on 34 level, where we witnessed an end being drilled. That end, they drill approximately 50 holes by 2 meters, blast them, blasting about 50 tons in a shift. That ore is hauled back to the opposites on 34 level and is put down to 35 via the opposites. And is also taken out to surface via the 10-ton skips in the shaft. So basically, in a summary, this is our trip underground. And I think it just defines the ore flow from the face through to the plant. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll move over to the processing plants. Perfect. Okay, so we've been underground, we've seen the new shaft, the new tailings and all of the development, and now it's time to showcase how the ore flows above ground, how it's processed and actually recovered. So I think we'll let Kexton give a bit of an overview before we walk through everything.
Okay, thank you, Gom. Well, we're standing at number 4 shaft now, which is the, as I said earlier on, this was the beginning of the blanket expansion from 25 to 40,000. Culminating into the shaft that we've just been underground, which is our new project, the 1200 deep shaft, which is going to produce a lot more than the number 4 shaft. Behind us here is the number 4 shaft land bin, which receives material from the central shaft, and this material is then taken through the crushing plant in general to reduce it from the run-of-mine fraction size material to the handleable material in the plant itself. So the process will be primary crushing, secondary crushing, through to milling. Milling will reduce the stuff down to 75% passing 150 micron. And then at that stage, after that, it goes into the gravity-circuit where we extract all the free gold out of the mine, and the remaining material is that gold that is locked up chemically with the sulfides, and that is actually treated in what we call our CIL plant, which is our carbon in leach plant, where we introduce cyanide, lime, oxygen, and other parameters to ensure that we can extract that gold profitably. And that's also the area where gold is moved from solids to solution, and the CIL tanks will have carbon in them that will absorb all the gold from solution. And the carbon will then be treated in what we call an elution plant, and where we strip the carbon back into solution, up into electrowinning cells, where the gold is deposited on wire wool. Then the wire wool will then be taken to the smelt house, where it will be smelted into bars of bullion. The rest of the material, which will be grading somewhere around 0.2 grams per ton, is a material that will be deposited as tailings, as uneconomical. From now onwards, I'll hand you over to my colleague, Gibson Kazikano, who will take you through the detail of the flow sheet. Gibson, over to you, my friend.
Right. My name is Gibson Kazikano, the process plant manager, responsible for processing as well as smelting. Behind me, we have got the land bin where we receive ore from central shafts. The particle size from central shaft is 150 millimeters, which is dumped into the land bin before it is conveyed to the primary crushers. Here, this is our number 4 shaft. which takes ore from 22 level to surface. The particle size here again is also 150 millimeters before it is conveyed to the primary crushing circuit. What we are seeing here behind me is two jaw crushers. One is a 1424 and the other one is a 1524. As I said earlier on, the particle size here is 150, which is reduced to 55 millimeters. Behind me is the stockpile, where all the material crushed at number 4 shaft crushing plant is stockpiled before tertiary crushing. All right, behind me is the tertiary crushing circuit, where we've got the 38 cone crushers. That reduces the material from 55 millimeters to 13 millimeters. The circuit is a closed circuit with a triple deck screen. The bottom deck is 30 millimeters, the top deck is 30 millimeters. All right. Behind me is the final bin. This capacity is 2,000 tons. From here, we draw to the primary mills. Our primary mills consist of 5 rod mills. Each rod mill takes about 25 tons per hour. The 5th rod mill about 15 tons per hour. So the capacity of the primary mills is 150 tons per hour. Behind me is one of the road mills, which have got a capacity of 25 tons per hour. As I said earlier on, we've got 5 of them. They reduce the particle size from 30 millimeters to about 800 microns. What we are seeing here is the Gemini table, which is concentrating material from the Nelson concentrators. This is a batch process where every 24 hours we process the concentrates from the Nelson concentrators. From the Gemini table, the material will be ready for smelting. This is the bank of primary mills. The 4 are running at the moment. The one which is down is BM3. That is the smaller primary mill with a capacity of 15 tons per hour. What is happening here is we are just loading material into the primary mill. That is the spillages that we get in the plant. We put it in one of these mills. Right, what we have here is our bank of cluster cyclones. Each cyclone is 250 millimeters. So we classify the material. The underflow goes back to regrind milling. the overflow goes for CIL. But before it gets to CIL, it passes through the Delcolina screen, where we remove the trash or any carbonaceous material. What you see here is one of our regran mills, which is 3.3 by 4.3 meters. That's the dimension. Then behind me there is a class of cyclones where we do dewatering. We don't have a thickener here. We use the class of cyclones. Each is about 100 millimeters, and we've got 38 of them. So that's where we adjust our densities to 50%, because that is the density that we require in our CIL section. The material to the CIL from the regran circuit is about 75, is about 80%, passing 75 microns. Now, we are at the CIL section. That's where we do our gold leaching in the CIL system. The first tank is a conditioning tank where we sparge in oxygen just to neutralize the sulfides before we add cyanide. The pH, we run at a pH of 11 before we put in cyanide. Behind me here is the CIL tanks. Each tank is 572 live capacity, and we add carbon in the last tank. We keep our carbon at 15 grams per liter in the last tank, as well as 15 grams per liter in the header tank. All the tanks in between, we keep our carbon at 10 grams per liter. Every day we move carbon to elution. We move about 6 tons of carbon for elution. So elution is a batch process where each cycle is about 22 hours daily. Behind me is the elution vessel. That is a compact where we elute at the same time electrowinning. The elution vessel consists of a carbon column at the bottom, and then the electrowinning cell at the top. So it's a compact system where we elute and electrowin at the same time. Every 24 hours, the carbon is taken for regeneration. Then from there, the carbon is recycled back into the CIL system. Behind me is the MCC for the new tailings slurry pumps. We are busy putting a kiosk around the MCC. On my left here, these are the slurry pumps where we pump a slurry about 1.2 kilometers away from here. The pumps are connected in series. They are all 6-4 pumps. Okay, just to summarize the walkabout in the plant. First of all, behind me here is our smelting house. For now, we cannot go in. We started off with the primary crushing circuit, where we receive ore from underground. We got 2 sources, one from central shaft and another from number 4 shaft. At number 4 shaft, we've got ore from 22 level as well as ore from 14 level. The ore from 14 level is 300 millimeters, which is a little bit bigger than the other sources. The other source, that is central shaft, is 150, and 22 level is also 150. From the primary crushers, the ore is reduced by the jaw crushers 1424 by 1424, the other on the 5024. We reduce the particle size from 150 to 80% passing 55 millimeters. Then from there, the material is stockpiled. From the stockpile, we draw ore with our conveyance system to the tertiary crushing circuit. The tertiary crushing circuit consists of the cone crushers, which are 38 the 38 cone crushers. The crushers reduce the particle size from 55 to 80% passing 30 millimeters. The crushers are in closed circuit with a triple deck screen. The material from the tertiary crushers goes to the final bin with a capacity of 2,000 tons. From the final bin, we draw ore to the primary mills. Each mill is supplied by its own system, which is equipped with a wetometer as well as a sample cutter. This is for metallurgical accounting. From the primary circuit, the material has got 1 pass before the Nelson concentrators. From the Nelson concentrators, which are the KC Nelson concentrators, the tailings goes to regrind mill, which also has got a second pass to the Nelson concentrators. The product of the secondary milling circuit is pumped to CIL, where we do the cyanidation and recover our gold. Then with the carbon system, we recover our gold through our elution system. The gold from the gravity circuit, that is the Gemini from the Gemini table, is taken for smelting straight away. And the smelting is done periodically, sometimes after 2 weeks, sometimes after 1 week. Thank you.
Okay, so I guess just to clarify something, so what's the overall plant throughput at currently today?
The overall plant throughput is 2,400 tons per hour, tons per day, sorry. Yeah.
So if you were to, because we did sort of already get to the point of understanding where we understand that the mining can actually be a lot higher than that once you get more development done in the new shaft. So if you were to upgrade the plant, say you wanted to go with another 1,000 tons per day, would you have to replace all the steps or upgrade all of the steps in the plant, or would you just have to upgrade some of the steps? Could you just give some color on what sort of upgrades you would need to do to upgrade a plant to 1,000 tons per day more?
Yes, that is possible, but operating a plant is not a straightforward thing. Yeah, you need to consider a number of parameters, and you got to look at the constraints, which constraints which you've got to do. You've got also to consider that we don't have to stop production. How are we going to retrofit the new equipment without losing production? So all those things you've got to take, they are supposed to be taken into consideration. But right now, what I'll say, our constraint is at the primary crushers, where we said all the material from central shaft as well as material from number 4 shaft it passes through the 14, 24, and 15, 24 crushers. So that is a constraint. That is what we are working at the moment, so that we can increase throughput that side. In terms of our primary milling, I think we've got capacity there to take us to around 2,500 or a little bit more. That is 15 tons per hour at a plant availability of 96.4. Our regular mill has got a capacity of 116, so I don't envisage doing anything on the second crushing circuit. But on the primary milling, depending on what sort of tonnage that we want to put through the plant, we can operate the primary mill that I said earlier on. It has got a capacity of 15 tons per hour. We can operate it to 25 tons per hour. Then we'll have 5 mills at 25 tons per hour. That will give us a good capacity there. In the CIL, then you have got to consider what sort of grade that we are getting from mining, and then you do your computation to see if the current tanks can take it. But for now, we are putting in the 10th tank, so that we are able to process 2,400 with easy, with a grade of 3.25. So as you are saying, doubling taking to 50%, it means from the top of my head, they have got to have another tank at CIL, put in another primary milling that is operating the primary mill, the one way from 15 to 25. Then we've got to look at the crushing circuit. We need to look at what sort of machinery that will give us the tonnage that we want. Because the increase in the tonnage by 50%, our crushing circuit at the moment cannot take that.
Right. So it's something that you're starting to think about potentially, but it's going to be a couple of years out, most likely, if you decide to do it.
Yes, we have already, planning along those lines. That is something that we are working on right now, to have to increase capacity. Yeah. So it has got to, because it's not it's a process. Yes. It takes time. So you need to plan ahead. So that we put all these things, but everything depends on the life of mine and what our MR guys are telling us.
But if we speak about recoveries quickly, so the overall recovery, what's it at currently running at Blanket, and what's gravity and what's CIL?
Right now, the CIL recovery is hovering around 85%. The gravity is around 45%. But you combine the two, we get a recovery of 93.6% at the moment. Yeah, but we always endeavor to try and go above 93.6% if possible. But at the moment, I think we are at 93.6, 93.8. Sometimes we get to 94.
And in terms of the material that's being sourced deeper down, the grain sizes might be a bit different, but is there any other metallurgical difference, or is it quite homogeneous from the upper levels to the lower levels?
What we have realized, or what we are learning from our geologists, the ore is not changing significantly. So metallurgically, we are able to plan to see what sort of equipment that we require. So our ore contains free milling, it contains 50% free gold. So we expect that to remain. If it reduces, if the free gold reduces as we go deeper, I don't think it's going to reduce significantly.
Okay. So I guess we'll head over to the next step, which is the new TSF, also a new investment and a new facility. So. So we've come from the plant, we walked through that, and now I think we should take a look at what supports the new expansion at Blanket. So maybe you can explain what we have here behind us, Caxton, and the significance of it, and maybe how much it costs and so on.
Okay, we are at the new tailings facility, which is part of the expansion project at Blanket Mine. In line with the sinking of the new shaft and in line with the expansion of operations, it became necessary that this facility be constructed, as the one that we're using before was pretty much coming to the end of its life. This facility covers about 62 hectares of land. Okay, it's going to take mine tailings generally through to beyond 2041. It is constructed to world standard, basically. As you can see behind us here, beyond that, we can see the lining being laid to ensure that the ground is proofed from any seepage that's coming from the tailings. And we have the retained water. All water is retained and reused in the process plant, thereby saving a lot of fresh water from the dam. The facility generally costs about 25 million, and we are about 50 to 60% now of the completion of the project. Time-wise, we're looking at the end of first quarter, beginning of second quarter next year. We should be done with this project, all weather permitting.
Excellent. That's a good overview. I think we'll hop over now to film with some of the other guys and give some more details.
Okay, now so we're here with James Mufara, and now we've seen everything at Blanket, and James is the CEO of the company. So maybe James, before we chat a bit more about what we've seen and some of the questions that I have for you regarding Blanket, could you just introduce yourself and tell us about your career and how you came to work with Caledonia?
Yeah, thanks, Com. So I have been a mining engineer for close to 30 years now. I started off my career with Anglo American PLC, working in Zimbabwe. Then relocated to South Africa. I worked for Goldfields, rising, to the position of operations manager, doing roughly about 435 kilograms a month. Then went to Harmony and joined Harmony as a general manager and progressed my career until I became the regional executive for Harmony, in which case I was actually in charge of 5 operating mines, producing just in excess of 450,000 ounces a year, 5 general manager sections, about 15,000 employees, 4 gold plants. So it was quite a huge, operation. And then I obviously decided in May, by the beginning of May this year, that I needed to join Caledonia because of the growth prospect of the company. I realized that the company has got quite a huge growth prospect with Bilboes coming, Blanket with huge untapped potential, and I made that move. And I've been with Caledonia for 6 months plus, as of today. Yeah.
Perfect. So, on site at Blanket, we chatted with Caxton, with Elton and Gibbs and all of these guys who are running the operation on site, and we got some kindlings toward how the operation could potentially be incrementally improved. And you've recently gone through obviously a big capex investment with the new shaft, and you're currently expanding the tailings and so on. But to incrementally increase production further at Blanket, what would you say are the bottlenecks, the key bottlenecks that could potentially be resolved? Are there anything that you could do, just given some time, to even further enhance the production at Blanket? Or would you have to do another leg of fairly major capex investment to do that?
Yeah, so at the moment you see that Blanket has done quite a lot of exploration in the last few years, to the position where we're now sitting, where we've got a mine basically on the fringes of around 15 years life of mine. So that's a good plus. But with that comes the idea that we need to develop. We need to put in access to that ore body so that we can be in a position to mine that ore body. That's key and priority. So that's a key bottleneck that will need to be taken out. Development so that you can have flexibility is a key issue, especially for a low grade operation as Blanket. We've tackled quite a big problem with regards to the ventilation. There was natural ventilation on the mine, which means to say there wasn't mechanical fans underground. That has already been done. We appointed a ventilation manager on the mine. He started around June, end of June, and he has done quite a tremendous amount of work. I mean, we've seen that the central shaft, which was upcasting, he has started to downcast. The working places are cooler by at least 5 degrees Celsius from the time that he started, which actually means to say employees enjoy their work better. And that is work that we need to do so that we can be in a position to produce better. Another key bottleneck for Blanket is the issue of actually a huge constraint is electricity. We have got a huge problem with electricity at Blanket. We are supposed to get about 23.1 MVA of electricity onto the mine, but we are getting quite a shadow of that with around 18 MVA that we're getting from the grid and dirty electricity, which means to say when it comes, it is of a poor quality. We need to stabilize it in order for it to work for us. Although we've built a solar plant, which is giving us around 12.2 MVA on a daily basis, the problem with solar is one, it only works during the day. During the night, you don't have solar. Two, it only works when there is no clouds. If you've got cloudy day, you don't generate any solar. So we've got to put in place systems in place to stabilize the electrical energy input into the mine, because without that, we cannot be in a position to run the loads that we need: compressors, winders, mills, and all the other stuff that we need to run when we want to run it. This is going to be key and very, very fundamental in the growth of Blanket if we need to get first the ounces that we are say to the market, and if we want to grow the ounce base. So we have appointed one of the partners, a key partner, also a world company who is domiciled in London, called World Vision, who are busy now doing a benchmark to see how we can get our electrical side stable. What are the levers that we do have with regards to improving electrical energy use, and how we can improve the cost thereof as well. So this is a key lever in terms of getting to stabilize and get operations better. This will help us partly also in terms of the other issue, which is the cost. Although the gold price is soaring now at the moment and closed in the vicinity of $3,000 an ounce, we cannot benefit from it if we do not have a good management in terms of control of cost. So cost management is good. It is going to be very, very key and vital going forward in terms of the labor, how many people we need, and where do we need them, and how do we use them. So another key bottleneck that we need to remove within the operation is the issue of lack of digitization. Blanket is lagged behind with regards to the digital world. Nothing is digitized. Everything is still on an Excel sheet, including met accounting, which is how we get the metal from the plant. We need to do that. We need to be in a position to plug into the digital world to understand how things are happening, when the things are happening. We do not have Wi-Fi underground. We do not have telephones in strategic places. We've got a long way to go. We don't have digital control rooms. We've got a very long way to go if we are to catch up. This is not just a nice to have. It's actually a cost imperative, because if you can see what's happening in the different parts of the business, you know exactly where you are spending money, and if you're spending money in the right way. So it's an imperative that we need to go through. This is also not going to take 1 or 2 years. This is something that is going to take 3 to 4 years, or even maybe 5 years for us to reach to the levels that other companies have reached at the moment. So it's a key lever that we really, really need to tap into in terms of digitization. So those are for me key and top of head. We also need now, obviously, to manage the transition. We've just Caxton is just retired, and Elton has become the general manager of the mine. Although he was there, he was always in the shadow and the wings of Caxton. With it has come quite a few other changes. We've appointed a group chief manager to run health and safety and environment. We've also appointed a new group engineering manager to run the engineering infrastructure. So we need to stabilize those changes. Each of those people need to get their seats warm and understand what they have to do on a daily basis so that we can actually move to the next level of business.
Perfect. So, I mean, I think it's very interesting that you identify these things because, I mean, Blanket is an impressive operation for Zimbabwean standards in the gold mining space, I think. But of course, it has a long way to go. But nevertheless, it is a profitable operation. We saw the last couple of quarters has been very, very profitable. And still, you have these that might be seen as rudimentary improvements in some other modern mining jurisdictions to make. And that speaks to the potential of Blanket, which is very, very, very good. You still have these things you can fix that would be a given in, say, Canada or something like this, and which means you could further improve profitability by doing these activities. It's very good to hear. In terms of the cost structure, I want to ask you, what are the biggest components of the cost structure at Blanket currently? Is it the power? Is it the cyanide? Is it the labor? Is it the diesel? Or could you explain the structure there and how you intend on keeping it stable as possible?
Yeah, so if in terms of the cost structure, the biggest cost structure, so we basically have a cost structure where our labor is in the upper 30s, close to 40% of our total cost spent. Our electricity is costing around 24%, 25%. So the combined, the two of them amount to 65%, 70%. Then there will be the other odds and source, the consumables, and all other things will be in the remaining sort of 30%. So the big component is your labor, and it is also your electricity. The labor is the headcount. Unfortunately, I mean, well, for the kind of operation that we have, we've got basically a labor force of around 2,100 employees. We actually meant to our strength. We don't have a problem with regards to excess headcount. The thing that we need to employ better is in terms of getting people to see, once we start having this digitization, we'll be in a position to see where the people are working so that we can reduce your things like your overtime and at least pay bonuses better because that's where we tend to have a bit of an overrun. But this is an improvement. The Zimbabwean workforce is highly, highly productive, and that's a big plus. They are quite literate as well, so that counts for a lot. The industrial relations is very stable. They are very understanding. You don't have strikes. We don't have, go slows. Our availability of labor is also quite good. I mean, on a world scale, total unavailable labor amounts to around 6%. For the South African mines, where I spend the bulk of my time, unavailable labor on a daily basis would roughly rank around 15%. Because people book off sick, people take liberties, they're just not at work. I mean, so we have got a very low labor availability. We also have got quite a low labor turnover, which means to say a lot of our employees actually work until they get to their retirement. It's a big plus because then you can actually keep your skills within the industry, and that's what you need. So that brings stability in itself. It's just the issue that we need to see where we're spending the money with regards to the people, and this opportunity that we have now to put in a time and attendance system, digitize the system, and be in a position to see what's happening with the people will actually help us to manage the cost with regards to the labor better. The second issue is the issue of electricity. Electricity is, for now, we have quite a lot of charges which are maximum demand charges, which means to say we go over the maximum demand. And the issue is we need to understand better what is our benchmark with regards to the energy that we're using. What is the quality of electricity that we're getting from the grid, which is basically dirty, because Blanket is right at the end of the grid, so that means to say in between there's other industries and villages and everything else. So it's right at the end of everything else. So our energy quality is quite poor. We've put up 12.2 MVA solar plant that we're running ourselves. The idea now is to try and expand that plant with another 8 to 10 MVA again, so that we can, from the solar, when the solar is running, we can be in a position to run the whole lot during the day. The idea also is to try and get, because your solar is quite cheap, it's about 60% of your grid power. So it is quite very, very cheap. It is also, the idea will also be trying and get, how much of that power can we also put in batteries? Because the other problem that we do have is once we have, the radiation gone, immediately thereafter, we actually don't have any power. Although it is quite expensive to acquire the batteries, but the most expensive position that you can find yourself in is to either not have power at all or not to use very expensive power. So although the capital cost of buying the batteries might look prohibitive just by looking at it, it is worthwhile the cost. I was just checking Kibali in the DRC. They also have got a battery stabilizing system that they bought. They put actually a power plant for themselves. They put a battery stabilizing system for themselves. So it is an option that we're looking at, to buy that battery stabilizing system for the solar plant, so that we do not actually, immediately after the radiation is gone, we don't run out of energy. So these are options that we're looking at. We're also looking at optimizing of the central shaft. The central shaft was commissioned a year ago with a huge winder, and this winder has been consuming 2 to 3 times what the normal winders, 4-shaft winder, was doing. So we need to optimize that winder, make sure that we've got all the systems in place to make sure that it operates efficiently. We also have got a shaft schedule where we don't run this winder like a taxi, because it's an expensive taxi, so that we can actually make sure that people are where they are supposed to be working at the correct time, and this is going to actually save our costs as well going forward. So these are initiatives that we do have with regards to saving energy. One of the things that we're also looking at is positional efficiency of energy. Is there an opportunity for us, for instance, instead of having compressors 3 kilometers on surface, pumping all the air underground, can we not have hydropower positionally 100 or even 50 meters close to where the working place is, so that you can actually save your energy? These are all options that we're looking at, so that we can save in terms of our energy.
My name is Craig Harvey. I am currently the Vice President of Technical Services for Caledonia Mining. I've been in the mining game for a fair amount of years, over 35 years. Started my career with Goldfields of South Africa. Joined Harmony and was with Harmony Gold Mines for approximately eight years. I've worked as a principal consultant out of Perth, Australia, consulting on many operations around the world, many different commodities: iron ore, copper, gold, lead, zinc. And I joined Caledonia in early 2023, and looking forward to taking it forward with the current mine Blanket and in our future exploration activities. So what I've got here is just a general overview of where Blanket Mine is actually situated in Zimbabwe. It's down in the southwestern corner. It's located on the Bubi greenstone belt. It's a classical greenstone belt that most geologists would know. It hosts multiple mineralization styles, disseminated type ore, quartz vein hosted. It's got banded iron formation with it. But what makes Blanket quite unique as well is that the majority of the ore is free milling. So it's not refractory. It doesn't really require any specialist metallurgical magic to actually recover the gold out of it. So that's one of the reasons why Blanket is a star performer and will continue to be a performer for many years. And to put it into context, currently, as of December 2023, Blanket has just on 1.8 million ounces of gold content sitting in the measured and indicated resource. We've got a further million ounces sitting in inferred category, which is converted as time goes on through deeper exploration drilling, development, and other kinds of methods. So basically, we take all of that, we put it into a life of mine plan, which is on a digital platform with all of the expected advance rates, labor rates, the costing rates, and everything that goes into making up a mine plan. And currently, we've got about 800,000 ounces that are sitting in our proven and probable categories. And that 800,000 ounces translates into a life of mine for Blanket based on mineral reserves only of just on 10 years. Now, with Blanket being a vertical ore body, it's quite difficult to advance much beyond that. You have to push your development going down, but we put in drill platforms in the upper levels that we drill, and I'm sure you've seen it before, that we drill to the depths of the ore body or approximately 200 to 300 meters below the lowest levels to gain an understanding if the mineralization is carrying on. And over time, as the mine gets deeper, we develop, we get much better sampling quality and closer space sampling. And so the mineral reserve or the life of mine is essentially to be viewed as a rolling life of mine. In 10 years' time, I can almost guarantee there will be another 10 years life of mine going forward. So to have a look at Blanket itself, you can see on the left-hand picture there that the blue outline is the Blanket mining lease. So that's where all of the mining activities currently take place. But now in these shear zone hosted deposits that are common in Zimbabwe within these greenstone belts, it doesn't mean that just the blue area is the area to be mined. So you can see right at the top there's a little annotation called Smiler. You can see Smiler on the red in the middle, on the left-hand side. That falls just within our mining lease boundary area. It hasn't really been mined. We've been focusing mainly on Lima, Eroica Sheet, AR Main, AR South, and the Blanket ore bodies. And those ore bodies have been chased down to depth at about 1,200 meters below surface. We need to, and Blanket intends on conducting further exploration work within our mining lease area, Smiler, Old Lima, Sibiwa. But at the same time, we have other claims that are outside and adjoining the main mining lease area. Now, the old days, and I say the old days, like the 1940s, 50s, 60s, there's a flurry of activity in Zimbabwe on these areas. A lot of the early exploitation was mainly on oxides. So as the person goes deeper and the ore bodies change, different metallurgical processes were required. And most companies didn't really have money to sort of push that going forward. Other things that happened is water tables impacted on the mining operations, and slowly but gradually these things ground to a halt. So if you have a look at an old mining plan for Zimbabwe, and let's pick on the Bubi Greenstone Belt where Blanket is. All of those areas that you see listed there would have been dotted as single mine occurrences. Now, clearly going forward, if memory serves me correctly, there's over 6,000 gold mineral occurrences that are documented in Zimbabwe. And a lot of them form these little one-man band shows that have been last operated in the 50s and the 60s. So putting a couple of these things together, you can end up with an operation akin to Blanket. So on the Blanket side, although we're drilling at depth and proving up mineral resources and mineral reserves for the main Blanket ore bodies, outside of Blanket, directly adjacent to Blanket, we have claims on other areas that also need to be evaluated, explored. Just to give you an idea, so you can see there you've got Lima, Eroica, Blanket with all those yellow arrows, pushing down at depth on very well-defined pay shoots or grade trends. On the left-hand side, we have information for Smiler, Old Lima. They only 300, maybe 400 meters deep. The other areas are getting close to 1,000 meters deep. So the nice thing about geology in these shear zone hosted areas is geology tends to repeat itself. So going forward, the life at Blanket is probably not going to be limited to the Blanket mine as we know it, but it's going to grow. It's going to grow on a lateral basis, strike, and it's going to grow at depth. So in a nutshell, I think Blanket's on a good wicket for the future going forward.
Okay, so we've seen Blanket, and I guess now let's talk about the growth of the company, because this is a very long run rate thing. And the first step, of course, is the big sulfide plant, which is very transformational for the company. But I mean, I personally, and we'll see this, and people will see this experience as well. You can see this becoming even larger in a decade from now, but we'll get to that. So before we just head down, how would you characterize these assets, Bilboes and Motapa, for Caledonia's vision, in your own words?
Okay, well, the Bilboes, you got to differentiate between the two assets. Bilboes is a development project. The previous owners had a full feasibility study. We've currently got something on the level of a PA on them. The only reason it's gone backwards from a feasibility study to a PA is because we've revisited the designs for the tailings facility. Nothing else has changed. And given the size of tailings and the context of the whole thing, that drags the overall level of work down. So Bilboes is an advanced development project. We are finalising a feasibility study, and we're now beginning to warm up funders. Motapa is much earlier than that. It is a brownfield exploration project. So Motapa, to get Motapa to the same level as Bilboes, I'd have thought would take, it depends how quickly you want to spend the money, but I'd have thought would take 3 or 4 years to get Motapa to the same level of Bilboes. But together, they are absolutely transformational for the business. Blanket at the moment, we're making $2 million a week, about $100 million a year. You can do the maths yourself. If Bilboes in the first couple of years is producing 180,000 ounces a year at a gold price of 2,600, and its all-in sustaining cost is below $1,000, you can do the maths yourself in terms of the cash generation for that business. So it is absolutely transformational for us, and also for the country as well. And that's not lost on the leadership of Zimbabwe, who are very anxious to see a project of this scale come forwards. And it won't just transform Caledonia. It will also force people to recalibrate their expectations and their assumptions about Zimbabwe as an investment destination, in a very similar way as to what Centamin did in Egypt over the last decade, where they've effectively brought Centamin's project is so big and so cash generative. People have had to look at Egypt as an investment destination more carefully and begin to challenge the old sort of assumptions that made it sort of somewhere that you didn't really want to invest in. And I'm sure the same thing will happen to Zimbabwe.
Very much so. But Motapa and Bilboes, sure, they are separate stages, but it's if you find a good resources at Motapa, that can be trucked to a central
Of course,
plant. That
yes,
yeah, I mean it's like a
absolutely. So the current mine plan is based on obviously what we've got, what we know we've got. We can't build a mine plan on what we don't know we've got. So the current mine plan is to mine material from the Isabella and McCays pits, which are immediately adjacent to the Motapa property, and then once Isabella and McCays have been exhausted, then to take material from Bubi, which is in a much more remote part of the Bilboes property. In practical terms, what will almost certainly happen is that over the course of the next few years, we'll identify a resource at Motapa, which we can slip into the Bilboes project either during or after Isabella and McCays have been exhausted, and therefore push back the timing of Bubi, and therefore increase the overall life of the combined mine. Now, clearly, if we find sufficient material at Motapa of a sufficient grade, we could then completely reconsider whether we just upscale the whole thing in due course. And again, we can't cross those bridges yet because we don't at this stage know enough about what we will have at Motapa. That exploration, we'll just be publishing some exploration results in the next sort of week or so. Again, they're only for a relatively small amount of drilling, but you're quite right. In due course, the two assets will be commercialized together. It would be crazy. It'd be crazy not to.
And then, just looking at the oxide potential, but of course, we'll see the small scale leaching that currently goes on, that in the past produced, tens of thousands of ounces. Now it's at a level where it sustains the care and maintenance. But if you find, and I dare say you will find significant tonnage of oxide material at Motapa and elsewhere, also probably on Bilboes if you look for it. Would you pursue sort of a dual approach where you upscale the heap leaching again?
We're not going to throw away material that we can make money out of. I mean, yeah. So we're going into this we're going into both projects from the perspective of sulfide mining with Oxide-Processing. Clearly, to the extent we find oxide material, we'll process it absolutely. Now at Bilboes, we know there are oxides at Bilboes. We did try to mine them earlier, but the best way to access the remaining oxides at Bilboes is through the pre-stripping for the sulfide. To actually have a dedicated standalone oxide mining operation at Bilboes wouldn't be economic in its own terms because you'd have to be moving too much waste. But as an add-on to a bigger sulfide project, it clearly does add value. We're somewhat sceptical about building a whole business case on oxides. Because it's not lost on us that oxides are the most easily accessed and easily processed form of materials. So most of those a lot of those may already be mined over the last sort of decades by previous owners and by artisanal miners. So I hear what you say, and I think there is the potential for some sort of oxide activity, but we're focused the rationale for doing this isn't built purely on oxides. It is focused on the sulfides. So yes, that would be an extra upside to to both projects.
I guess you'll gradually ramp up exploration as it continues to. If it continues to give and you find more oxides, and maybe you pursue that down the road. I mean, you're certainly generating cash flow.
You got to base it on what we know we've got, not what we hope we're going to get. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, okay. I think it's best for people to see it for themselves, the immense scale of it. So let's just.
It is huge. I mean, it is huge. The Bilboes, the Motapa property, I think it's about 9.5 square miles, which it's not far off the island where I live. So so it's huge. It's absolutely huge. And you've been there. I've been there. You've been there. And when you turn up and you just see the scale of Bilboes and Motapa, it is vast. And years ago, we saw when a previous owner was trying to raise funding for Motapa, they actually showed a map of Bilboes Motapa, and it's about the same sort of size as the Kalgoorlie Super Pit in Australia. Now that was a little bit sort of creative on their part, but the fact is it is a massive area, and it won't be one big super pit. It will just be a series of still quite large pits.
Certainly. I mean, it gives you the runway to grow this company into something a lot larger, even probably beyond what you're envisioning for the initial sulfide
Yeah, I
operation.
mean, you're quite right. And one of the things I keep on telling investors and also colleagues is in the gold space, very, very few people in the gold space have the growth opportunity that we currently face. Very few. With an existing producing asset to help to reduce the upfront cost.
Okay, so we've arrived here at Bilboes. We're here with Shingi Shimanda, the mine manager. So Shingi, maybe you can start off by introducing yourself and tell the history about your working here, because you've been here for a long period of time, before Caledonia even. So tell the story and tell about yourself.
Thank you, Go. My name is Shingi Shimanda. I'm the mine manager, Bilboes here. Like you rightly said, I've been here for quite a while. I've been here since 1989. But yeah, I did go out the Anglo mines for a while, and then I came back here when I decided that I'm happy in settling in gold. So the operations here started in 1989 with small little pits on the southern side of Isabella South, and then they expanded to the Isabella North. We'll take you around the pits and show you exactly what was happening there. So the mine, we opened another mine, McCays mine, and then we opened another one, Bubi mine, and then a small little one, Wen mine. And for over the years, we have actually mined just under 14 million tons of ore to produce just over 9 tons of gold. So I would basically say that's what we've done here. We can probably walk through into the boardroom where I'll show you the plans of where we are exactly and what is happening on the ground at the moment.
Excellent.
Thank you. Okay. So here, I'm going to go through the site plan for Isabella and McCays mine, right? To the eastern side there, we have got McCays mine, right? And then here on the western side, this is where we are at the moment, which is the Isabella mine setup. The northern side of Isabella, we do have the Isabella North strike of pits. On the southern side, we do have the Isabella Southern strike of pits, which is what we call Isabella North and Isabella South pits in our proposed plan for mining. What you see here are the proposed site waste dumps for Isabella. And then here we are seeing the proposed tailings storage facility for the future for the sulfide plant. The plant is going to be sitting somewhere there, and here we are going to have other infrastructure that we need, like new offices, proposed workshops, proposed housing, and the like. We are going to be pulling our power from Shangani mine, about 70 kilometers as the crow flies, coming this way. We are also going to be tracking ore from Bubi, which is about 32 kilometers from as the crow flies, and it will again be coming this way. So for now, we are going to be taking you around, showing you the pits at McCays, and we'll come to Isabella, and then we'll do the Bubi one later in the day, which we are not showing here. But the Bubi pit, like I said, it's
it is 32 kilometers from here as the crow flies.
Perfect. So let's start with the Isabella operations, proposed locations for the Bilboes facilities, and then we'll look at the geology and the old historical pits.
Correct.
Perfect.
Sure. Okay, now we are standing on top of Isabella Heap-leach pad. This is where we started loading our oxide ore. We are standing about 28 meters high now. On this leach pad, we have loaded about 6.7 million tons of ore, and we have produced about 151,000 ounces of gold. So what we are seeing here is exactly what we do under normal operations. We've got a solution that is coming from the leach ponds down there, cyanide solution, alkaline cyanide solution, and it's dripping onto this ore here. If you can see what's happening there, that's the irrigation that is happening, and it percolates all the way down to the bottom where we have an impervious HDPE lining, sloping at 1 in 100 and draining the solution now, the pregnant loaded, the gold laden solution, down to the processing plant. I can show you here exactly where what is happening on the leach pads there. Then we'll walk down to the processing plant to see what is happening at the processing plant. Okay, so here we have got 4 sets of ponds. The one which is furthest there with the most little solution is our cyanide destruction pond. In the event that we have got too much solution in the system that we cannot handle, we neutralize our cyanide in that pond, and then we discharge it out into the environment. Obviously that we do after approval from the regulatory authorities, EMA. Then the pond next to that little corrugated shed is our barren pond, where we mix our reagents, cyanide, caustic soda, to take it to the levels that we want for gold leaching. Then we pump the solution from there up onto the leach pad here via this pipe, right? And then thereafter the solution will gravitate down, like I said earlier on, into those 2 londers there. If you can see where there's that little cement block where that guy is coming out, that solution coming from the leach pad here and is going down into that other pond, what we call the pregnant pond. From that pregnant pond, we then pump that solution through those columns, carbon columns. We have got 2 sets of columns. The one that is sitting on the ground, we call that the carousel plant, and the cascading plant, which is on the shed there. That's where the gold is all trapped in there. I think from here we can go down to the plant, then I can show you in detail what is happening there.
Okay, and Shingi, how much do you guys produce in terms of gold output per month approximately?
For now, we're just looking at, we're producing about plus or minus 4 kilos per month. But look, it covers our costs, our care and maintenance costs, so we are quite happy for that. I'm hoping that maybe we could continue on this run up to end of the year, and then it will probably take a bit of a dip in the following year.
Okay.
Sure.
Let's sit down.
Yeah. We have just come down from the leach pad now, but before we continue, I just want to introduce you to my colleagues here. I've got Promise Sango here. Promise.
Yes, my name is Promise Sango. I'm the plant metallurgist at Isabella Mine. I'm a holder of a Bachelor of Technology Honours in Chemical and Process Systems Engineering. And hand over to you, Munyaradzi.
Hello, my name is Munyaradzi Gonga, and I work here with Promise Sango and Ms. Chimanda. I have an honours degree in applied biosciences and biotechnology.
Thank you, guys. So basically what is happening here, we have the solution that we are irrigating on the pad there, gravitating through, percolating through the ore and gravitating down to this pond here. We call this one our pregnant pond. This is the pond that's carrying our solution laden with gold. We are really looking at very, very low grades there.
below 0.1 grams per ton. But yeah, it is good enough to give us the numbers that we are looking at. We are targeting about 4 kilos every month. So we are pumping the solution from here through these columns here. We've got this cascading plant, and then we've got that adsorption plant. So we are running these two plants in parallel. All in all, we are targeting about 1,800 cubic meters per day. But yeah, here and there we'll get numbers below that. So maybe from here we'll go into the plant and we'll explain what is happening in detail in the plant there.
Yes, here we've got our two plants. We have two adsorption plants. This one, which is our carousel plant, and the other one, which is our cascade plant. The carousel plant, the difference between the two plants is that the carousel plant is a packed bed reactor, and the other one works with graphite. So in these plants, that's where our adsorption happens. That's where our gold is concentrated into our carbon from the solution. Adsorption is a concentration method of gold from those low grades to the carbon, where we concentrate it into high grades carbon. Then from there we harvest our carbon from the columns to our elution plant, where we do the reverse process of removing the gold from the carbon into the solution. Then from the solution we get into our wire wool. That is electrowinning. After electrowinning, we then take our carbon, we harvest our wire wool from the cathode trays for further processing, which is wire wool digestion and smelting.
If I can just add one before we go to the processing plant. Like the promise is saying, it's a concentration process. We are looking at concentrating our gold from the 0.1 grams per ton and below ppm to about 1,000 ppm on carbon, right? But as we do that, you find we are absorbing everything else that's being leached together with the gold, including silver and the rest of the base metals. So for those, we remove them in these two columns here, which we call our acid washing plants. That's where we remove the rest of the foulings. Just after.
Okay. Let's get to the gold room, the elution plant. Okay, this is our elution plant and the smelting road, including our gold furnace. Right. As we stand here, this is four of our elution vessels. These are pressurized elution boilers. That's where we load our gold lead and carbon into the boilers for elution. Then after that, we harvest our wire wool and lock them in our gold room. This is our gold room. From the gold room, we digest our wire wool into gold sludge, then filter our wire wool and calcine. Then we smelt it through on this smelting furnace to get our gold bullion.
It's pouring now. Just tapping the pot, the mold, to ensure all the pills settle at the bottom. So it's done pouring. It's a small button that we are pouring, about plus or minus 500 grams. So we're going to give it about 10 minutes to cool. Then we remove it from the mold while we are loading another baton in the same crucible. So it's removing the bullion and slag from the mold now. That's a little button.
Say you produce 4 to 5 kilos per month. You produce 4 to 5 kilos per month.
Sure, we are producing about 4 to 5 kilos a month, Steve. But as we progress with our re-leaching, we are looking at the numbers to start coming down below 4 kilos.
And here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's 3 kilos.
That's 3 kilos. As you can see, the furnace is still running. We are going to be smelting some more buttons. Sure. Yeah. I'm George, the mine surveyor at Bilboes. We come from the plant site. We come from the plant which is behind that leach pad. Then we are here at this waste dump. I want to show you the proposed the sulfide project plant, which is over that side. Then I also show you the proposed detailing storage facility and the infrastructure site and the proposed return water dam. That is the direction of the proposed detailing storage facility, and behind that, that is where the proposed plant, and that side, that is where there's an infrastructure site. Then McCays is over that side of the waste dumps. That side, that is where McCays is located.
Okay, so now we've sort of seen the initial view here at Bilboes, and I would call it Bilboes Motapa. It's one big gold camp. I mean, that much is obvious, and this place is huge. The open pits are extremely impressive, and it's obvious that this is a. I mean, from my point of view, it's going to be a 10 million ounce plus camp of gold. I mean, I'm sure about that. It's just going to take time to prove it out. If we speak about the engineering and permitting steps that remain, mainly on the permitting side. Of course, you're underway with the feasibility study right now, and that's going to be the final engineering document for the proposed new sulfide operation. But in terms of permitting, do you have anything you need to go through with Zimbabwe authorities?
So so the operation is totally permitted. There is nothing that we need to go through. So we totally so that is the permitting is in place. Yeah.
Perfect. And then I guess some investors would be concerned about you're going to run a BIOX plant. You have a sulfide partially refractory ore, and BIOX can be tricky. It hasn't been done in Zimbabwe before, to my knowledge, at least of this kind of scale. So could you speak to the labor component, the skilled labor? Where will you be sourcing the competence to be able to run and also construction operation like this, which would be a first for Sim?
So BIOX is actually being done, but not to the scale. Yes. So Rio Zim is actually got a BIOX operation in Kadoma. So they're actually running on their open pit is on a BIOX operation. So it's been done in the Barberton mines. It's been done in the Barberton mines for a long time. I mean, that's quite a long time. I mean, we spoke to while we were in Denver last month. One of the things that we did is I approached the CEO for Endeavour, and we agreed that we're going to see one of their operations up in West Africa. I mean, where they also got a huge BIOX operation as well. So we are going to go there and see for ourselves what will be happening. So we have run a pilot plant for a year plus at the operation, and we saw the stability that it has had. We sent some of our metallurgists for training, but in terms of hiring, we still need to hire a group metallurgist. We still need to hire the metallurgical manager for Bilboes, and it will be somebody that knows BIOX. So we'll not just pick a guy from behind a tree and say, no, you are going to run the plant for us tomorrow. We're going to get the right skilled guy to do that.
Yeah, of course. And then, in terms of design revisions between the PEA and feasibility study, you've locked in the non-phased approach. You're going to build everything up front. But can you outline any potential revisions you might see in the feasibility that's going to be per your communication in H1 next year?
No, we don't foresee anything else. I mean, the only reason why we downgraded the studies to a PA was simply because the one component of the whole thing, which was the tailings facility, was the one that was downgraded. So everything else in terms of resource, everything else in terms of every other study that we've done remained actually feasibility. But because the one major component actually went down, it was just right. And then the standard is we need to upgrade so that at least we don't get false information out to the market that everything is feasibility. We're going through the studies every week. We're going through meetings with DRA now. We are actually in the operational readiness mode. We're busy meeting. I mean, immediately after this meeting, I've got a meeting with Bilboes together with Victor and the other players that will actually sit through. And we are going to have, again, operational readiness. We're looking at what do we need to do, what we need to put into the budget so that we are ready for next year. We are going to get a project manager who will be somebody that has built this kind of project, size of project before, and we'll make them part of our team as well. So we are actually on the go, and we don't foresee any challenges at the moment.
Yeah. You're going into hiring now. The final engineering piece will be out. You'll go into financing shortly thereafter, and then you get into construction, hopefully by sort of end of next year or into Q3, Q4. That would be the idea.
Hi, welcome all. We're going to run into a quick overview of Bilboes and Motapa. So, as most of you would be aware, we've got an open pit gold project located in Zimbabwe. It's called Bilboes. There's just an overview slide showing some of the historic open pits that are actually on site. But if we go into a bit more detail, Bilboes is located, as I say, on the Matabeleland greenstone belt in Zimbabwe. It's directly adjacent to our Motapa exploration property. It's comprised really of four main pits. It's the Isabella North, the Isabella South, the McCays pit, and Bubi, which is located approximately, as a crow flies, about 30 kilometers to the northeast of the previous three pits. There's been some historical production, essentially or only from oxides. And so Caledonia is looking at developing a sulfide project. We are publishing a update to our preliminary economic assessment, a feasibility study, which is expected to be published at the end of Q1 2025. And it's essentially going to be an update on the costing and the size of the project. As we can see at the bottom there, Bilboes has got a NR43 measured and indicated mineral resource of approximately 2.5 million ounces at a grade of 2.3 grams per ton, with a further inferred mineral resource of approximately 500,000 ounces at a grade of 1.99. One of the things to note is that Bilboes will be using BIOX technology in their metallurgical process. It's basically going to comprise mining about 250,000 tons per month of run-of-mine ore, which is going to go through a flotation plant, a sulfide flotation, and that concentrate is going to be fed to the BIOX plant. And we expecting recoveries north of 90%. So bearing in mind Bilboes Motapa located right next door to one another, if we move on to the Motapa project, and I kind of like this slide. So if you look closely, you'll see where the Motapa exploration project is. There's a purple outline there. Directly to the north of that, on one of the blue outlines, is the Bilboes project, which comprises Isabella, north and south, and McCays. Then, as I said, further to the northeast is Bubi, a little isolated one on a fold hinge. But this kind of sets an overview of why I kind of want to call it a mining camp. There are numerous shear zone hosted / banded iron formation lithologies located in this area. And it's really, in the past, a lot of exploration and mining has been done predominantly on oxides. In the early 30s, 40s, 50s, there was some underground mining, and companies used roasting technology to handle some of the refractory nature of the ore. And that's kind of par for the course for Zimbabwe. If we move on to having a closer look at Motapa, Motapa is comprised of basically three main shear zones, and we just simply call them Motapa North, Motapa Central, and Motapa South. So during 2024, on this Motapa lease area that is shown here, Caledonia completed almost 13,000 meters of surface trenching. We did 5,500 meters of reverse circulation drilling. We did 4,500 meters of diamond drilling. And this is all on a lease area of approximately 2,200 hectares. The total strike length of these three shear zones together is approximately 9 Ks. Now, I mean, 9 Ks of prospectivity is quite good. History shows that a lot of it has been open pitted with shallow pits. And when I say shallow, I'm talking, probably 30, maybe down to 40 meters. But as one kind of indication there, one of our holes, it's kind of the deepest hole that we've drilled there, intersected mineralization at 130 and 135 meters below surface. Still showing grade, almost 2 gram a ton, 1.2 gram a ton. A little bit thin. Both of the intersections were just on a meter wide. If we have a look at a bit more detail, so if I have a look at Motapa North, and on our website, there's a press release for the drilling and the exploration work that we did at Motapa during 2024. But if I look at Motapa North, that blue line represents the boundary between Motapa and our Bilboes project directly to the north. That boundary is approximately 150 meters away from those open pits that you see there, named Pluvius, Boomgate, Jupiter, Shaw. The dots that you see there is all of the work that we've undertaken. And so you can quite clearly see that the drilling in 2024 was quite far apart. On average, drill section lines were about 200 meters apart. It was very much first pass drilling to gain an understanding of, does the mineralization continue beneath these open pits? And quite clearly on the table on the right, I've highlighted some of the more interesting intersections. And JDD01, a true width of almost 4 meters at a grade of 345 meters below surface. And you can run down them. And because the drilling is kind of widely spaced and we're dealing with shear zones, we do find these pinch and swells. I mean, we have in DD03, we have an 8.6 meters true width at almost 2 grams per ton at just over 100 meters below surface. Now, any open pit kind of anywhere in the world is going to want to mine that. So going forward, we are showing that we've got good grades, we have widths. It does get a little bit skinny in places, but that's going to change with our work program in 2025. Going further on to what we call central. Now, this is also kind of exciting because Caledonia has targeted depth extensions below existing pits. Now, out of our surface trenching work, we identified an area that we call Mapudzi. Mapudzi is a banded iron formation, comprises sort of 2 to 4 BIF zones. But looking at the table again on the right-hand side, some of the ones that I've highlighted, a depth of 8 meters below surface, 7 meters below surface, 30 meters below surface, at grades of almost 11, 2.5, and 10 grams per ton over widths of ranging between 3 to 5 meters. Now, that kind of mining, those costs associated with that shallow mining with those widths is going to be fairly small, and with those grades should be very, very profitable. So this is very early stage work. We haven't got very many deep holes, but we've highlighted that we've found what we believe an area that hasn't been mined underground. To the west, you can see that there's a Britwell, there's a Fossica, and a Britwell East. We know at Britwell that there was some historic underground workings, but we have not come across any substantial voids at Mapudzi to indicate underground mines. And there's nothing in the literature that supports a history of underground mining in this area either. Coming on to, and I'll call it its poor neighbor, Motapa South, and that's just simply because it's located on the very, very southern end of the lease area. We've only really drilled 2-3 holes. We've got results back for one, again showing signs of mineralization, sporadic widths ranging between 1 meters and 5.5 meters, grades between 1 gram and 2 grams per ton. Very, very sparse drilling. And that's why I call it the poor neighbor. It's just the furthest zone from the actual Bilboes border. And so that was a 2024 work. Going into 2025, it's Caledonia's plan to focus on the Motapa Central and to focus on the Mapudzi area. And why are we going to do this? It's our goal to define a resource in the next 12 to 24 months, specifically at Motapa North, not Central, North, as that is located directly adjacent to Bilboes. It's quite feasible that as the Bilboes project gets up and running, that there may be an opportunity, all things willing. Met testing's got to be done, and all of those good things. But that ore is located 2 to 2.5 k's away from where the Bilboes processing facility would be. So it kind of makes sense to have a look at that option. And then again, looking for kind of near-term opportunities. A shallow open pit mine at Mupudzi is something that we would be looking at bringing to the table in the next year or two. So in a nutshell, besides Blanket Mine at Caledonia, Caledonia has a project under feasibility study in Bilboes that, all things being equal, should be up and running in the next couple of years. And we have a very exciting project directly adjacent to Bilboes called Motapa, which shows grades and widths very, very similar to Bilboes.
We are now at McCays mine here. At the moment we are standing on the leach pad, and if you can see, the ore that was loaded on this leach pad here amounts to about 2.2 million tons, grading about 1.15 grams per ton. Out of that, we recovered 57,000 ounces of gold. So our McCays pit, if I can refer to here, we came from Isabella here and we went up to McCays. So at the moment we are somewhere here on the leach pad, right? And our pit is this one here, which extends, which is with a total pit strike of about 1.5 kilometers. Our little processing plant is here, which is exactly the same as identical to the Isabella processing plant, as well as the McCays processing plant. These plants basically are identical, with one carousel plant and another being a cascading plant. So you will note that the central processing is actually done at Isabella, which is the elution and smelting. But at McCays and Bubi, where we are going to be going later on, we just do the leaching and adsorption at the plants, right? The reason being that trucking ore from one place to another is quite expensive. So the decision obviously is based on the trimming distance of the material. So yeah, our small leaching plant, like I said, is there. Behind there is a crushing plant where we used to crush the ore, which we are standing on. As you can see, this is crushed ore. But before that, we were just loading run-of-mine ore as is without crushing. So I would say this is what we did then at McCays. I'll hand over the mic to my colleague Wadzanai, who is going to take us through the sulfide work that we've done at McCays. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Wadzanai Mageza, the geologist at Bilboes Holdings. I'll take you through the geology, the work done, as well as the reserves. So I'll start by the geology. McCays mine is hosted within the Bubi Greenstone belt, and the controls of mineralization here is structurally controlled. They are controlled by the Cotley shear zone, which truncates through the McCays property. And at McCays, we have got, in terms of lithologies, we have got the meta-basalt, the meta-andesite, as well as shells. But the mineralization is found within the meta-andesites mostly, as well as some in other parts are meta-basalts. The mineralization dips are at 70 to 80 degrees towards the north, and we have got multiple ore zones within the McCays ore body. So I would then take you to the drilling, the work that was done here. So this map shows the amount of work that was done at McCays from 1994 to 2008. This shows the RC as well as the core drilling that was done, with the green callouts showing the core drilling that was done, while the blue callout shows the RC holes that were drilled. This hole work amounts to 20,700 meters of drilling, both RC and core, from 177 holes. I'll take you through, I'll zoom into one of the sections that was drilled. This is section 1, which was taken from here, that is further east of the ore bodies. So this one we have got mineralization, the callouts showing the intersections as well as the true width. So we can see that the widths are as little as 1.5 and they are going as much as 13 meters for this particular section. And then the grades, they are going as high as 7 grams per ton in some instances, and in some instances they are 3 grams per ton. So it varies, but McCays is basically has got the good grades within the whole tenement. And we move on to the section 2, which was taken at midway at McCays pit. This shows also the intersections and also the true width, with grades as good as 10 grams per ton, which are being shown on the section. So basically we're moving on to the reserves. This whole drilling delineated 3.5 million tons at a grade of 2.95 to give us 292,000 ounces of gold. So basically that's essentially everything about McCays in terms of the drilling, the geology and the reserves.
Yeah, so we've just come over a little bit. Here you can see our processing plant, including the ponds, exactly the same as at Isabella and at Bubi, where we are going to be going. On the other side, that's our crushing plant, where we were crushing our ore here at McCays. The plant is still in very good condition. The thinking is that we might have to use the same plant here for crushing our ore, our limestone, that is going to be used for neutralization at the BIOX plant once we start the BIOX plant. We do have some lime blocks that we have pegged here. We have also done quite a little bit of work behind there, call it about 1 kilometer from here. So the thinking is that limestone, instead of us having to import lime from outside, we are going to be mining our own limestone blocks, which we are going to be taking to the crushing plant and then to the neutralization plant. We are also quite confident that we should be able to use our local limestone, because the acquisition of Motapa presented even better resources, better limestone grades than what we were getting in our own limestone, in our own blocks. So we think we should be able to handle the neutralization with our own limestone.
So here we are at the core shed where I'm going to showcase you the holes that were drilled with the intersections, and you can appreciate how the mineralization is like for our deposits. So we're going to start by McCays. For McCays, we have chosen a typical hole, which is MKDD41, which was drilled here, eastern side of McCays. And this is the section. So we have, this is the wall, which is supporting these two other front walls. And for this particular hole, we are going to showcase the intersections of wide zones, which are the last two intersections. So we'll just go and see how our mineralization is being controlled and how our lithologies are in the ore zones. So here we have our intersection starting from 92, that is here. We can see there is the silicification and also the sulfides. Maybe they might not be that visible, but they are there. They are the ones which are hosting our mineralization. So from 92, we can see the grade of 6.08, and we have another grade of 5.96, and we have the sulfides, which are finely disseminated sulfides. You can see the arsenopyrite, which is finely disseminated. These are needle-like. And we can see that the ore body is highly silicified, and also there are some brecciation within this, which are the structural controls of our mineralization. This intersection is 17 meters wide with an average of around 2. And we can see here also the silicification is there, the sulfides will be there. And we move on to the next intersection, which is 10 meters wide. It's starting here at 126 meters and stretching up to 135 meters. This intersection also has got the same controls of mineralization. The silicification is evident, and also the arsenopyrite, which are our sulfides, and less pyrite, which is also present in the mineralized ones. So yeah, you can see the grades, they are ranging as high as 14.74. They're ranging between 1.7 to 14.74. So you can see McCays is of high grade, and it's also shear zone hosted, it's evident within the core. So here we are now at Isabella North. We are coming from McCays, which is about 3 kilometers due east. And here we are at Isabella North at Diana Pit. So we are facing the strike of Diana Pit. So the strike is northeast, southwest. And we have got, in this Isabella North, we have got Diana calcite and the calcite strikes. So here at Isabella North, the mineralization is controlled. It's also structurally controlled, and it's controlled by the calcite shear zone. And we are here. And this is the calcite fault which controls the mineralization here. It's a shear zone hosted, and it's hosted within the felsic schist, which are the major lithologies which are found here. So here we are right here at the eastern extremity of the Diana Pit, and we have come from McCays, which is the eastern side, and the geology here is a bit different from that of McCays. Here is composed mainly of the felsics, which are felsic schist, and like McCays, we have got sulfides which are controlling our mineralization, which are the arsenopyrite and the pyrite. Arsenopyrite, which is making our gold refractory, our ore refractory rather, and We also have the calcite deposits, which are on the same strike as which is Isabella North. Then we move on to the drilling, the work that was done here. So this is the map which is showing Diana calcite, which is showing all the drilling that is happened here. We have drilled 166 holes within this strike, which total to 29,007 meters of drilling, both RC and core drilling. So with blue, those are the call-outs showing the intersections for DD, core drilling, and the green ones are the ones which are showing for RC drilling. So we're now going on the section view of of a typical section of Isabella North, that is Diana Pit, and this is the typical section. We can see that we have got widths ranging from 2 going as high as 17 meters, with good grades averaging from 2.6 to all above 2.6. Then we also go to the next section, which is a typical section also, which was extracted from the section that were drilled, and it shows that our mineralization is dipping to the south. It's almost steeply dipping to the south at from 80 to 85 degrees, and the drilling that took place here delineated a reserve of 5.2 million tons at a grade of 2.39 rather, and which amounts to 399,000 ounces of gold, that is in situ gold. So that's all about Isabella North in terms of the geology, the drilling that was done, and as well as the resources that were delineated. Now we are at Isabella North, where I will be showcasing a typical hole, which is ISND D38, and this hole was drilled at Diana calcite at this location. This is the map showing all the drilling that has taken place, and you can relate with other holes on the map. And for this particular hole is this one. And you can see the intersections, but for this particular time, I'm going to show you the one with the wider intersection, which is 23 meters at 3.35. So I'm going to take you through. Yeah, here, that's where the intersection is. So we can see starting with 2.43, these are the grades for that particular meter, which are written in red. And we can see this intersection, intersection is very wide, which is about 23 meters. And we can see also the finely disseminated arsenopyrite, which is all over the core that I'm holding now. And we can see that there is also silicification, which is our major alteration, which controls our mineralization here. It's typical of any hydrothermal deposit. So you can see the grades, very good grades. Some are going as high as 10.81. And you can see This one is a barren quartz. It doesn't bear any mineralization. And we are back to another zone, which is also having silicification is our main alteration, as well as the brecciation within the quartz veining, which shows our importance of the importance of structures in our mineralization. So I'm going to take you also to where the intersection is ending, so that you can appreciate how everything goes. So here also, still with the silicification and also the shearing is high. You can see grades, they are going as high as 12.58 at some particular meters. And this is where our intersection, where our mineralization terminates at 1.85, which is 167 meters. Here we are at Isabella South. So we have come from Isabella North, which is due to our east, and we are now at Isabella South. That is the Castile pit, which strikes from northeast southwest, and it's striking this way. And so at Isabella South we have got Castile pit, and we are right here. We are standing right here, and we have got Maria pits, which are those pits which are dotted around this tenement. So for this sulfide project, the area of interest is this Castile pit, as well as the old Maria. Those other pits, the drilling has not been done, which doesn't mean that there are no sulfides, but it was not drilled for sulfide project. So the total strike of the Isabella South is about 1.6 kilometers. We move on to the geology around the Isabella South. So it's just the same as at Isabella North, which is felsic schist, which are hosting our mineralization. And this one is peculiar because of its dip. It dips shallowly at around 45 to 50 degrees towards the south. And in terms of the mineralization, our mineralization is bound within the felsic schist, and the controls of the mineralization are structurally controls, which is the shearing. And also we have got sulfides which are controlling this mineralization, which are pyrite and arsenopyrite. Arsenopyrite, which is bringing the refractoriness of the ore. And we also have alterations which are associated with our mineralization, which is silicification, that is presence of silica within our felsic schist. Then we move on to the work that was done. So this is a plan which is showing the work that was done within the Isabella South strike. So this is Castile, these are the Maria, the old Maria that we are interested in. So the green callouts are showing the intersections of the diamond drilling, while the blue callouts are showing the intersections for the RC drilling. So we zoom into one of the sections that were drilled. So this first section was taken from the Castile side of things. So this is the section showing 3 holes which are giving the down dip extension of the ore body. So we can see that the shallow dip is there around 45 to 50 degrees, and the width of the ore body is varying from 3 meters up to as much as 18 meters. That is the true width, with grades ranging above 2 grams per ton, with some actually going up to 6.29 grams per ton. And also this the second section was taken from the Maria side of things. So it was taken from this section, and it shows that the mineralization is the mineralization grade of 3.38 and widths which are above 5 meters, with the first intersection being 20 meters, that is true width. So at Isabella South, we drilled 156 wells, both RC and DD, which had a total meterage of about 21,600 meters. This delineated a reserve of 5.4 million tons at a grade of 2.12 grams per ton, which totals to 365,000 ounces of in situ gold. So now we are at Isabella South, where I'm going to take you through DCT5, which was drilled at Castile side of things. This is where DCT is in relation to the drilling that was done in the Castile pit. So this is the section showing the DCT5 is being the front row, and the intersection is from 53 to 71, which is 19 meters inclined width and at 3.63 grams per ton. So I'm going to show you the intersection on the. Okay, so this is the intersection is starting from here. You can see our alteration is there, the silicification and the brecciation within that zone is very prominent. We can see that the grades are ranging from 1.38 and going as high as 16.67. Also, the sulfides are also there. Here we have got pyrite, which is goldish-like, and we have got arsenopyrite, which is a needle-shaped silvery-like. And we can see that this intersection, the core in this intersection is quartered. It has been taken, the quarter of it has been taken for metallurgical test work to see how this can be effectively extracted, the gold. So here we are at Bubi mine, and currently we are in the North Pit, Bubi North Pit, and we have just come from Isabella mine, which is about 32 kilometers as the crow flies. So I'm going to take you through the Bubi. So here we are currently here. So at Bubi mine, the pits 2.95 kilometers strike, and they strike north, east, southwest. And I'll move on to the geology of Bubi mine. So Bubi mine is hosted within the Bubi greenstone belt, and on the geological map we are here, and Bubi has got two main lithologies, which are the meta-andesite and the meta-basalts, with a few lenses of bend and iron formations, which are around the tenement. And in terms of our mineralization, we have it in both meta-andesite and meta-basalt. And also it is structurally controlled, it's the shear zone hosted. And we have also the sulfides, which are controlling mineralization, being the arsenopyrite and the pyrite. We also, in terms of the ore body orientation, we have it dipping away from us. That is in the western direction. It's steeply dipping at about 70 to 85 degrees. And we move on to the work that was done from 1994 to 2018. So here, this plan shows all the work that was done in terms of the drilling from RC and the DD. So we have done 165 holes with a total meterage of 22,000. And here we have a typical section for the Bubi deposit, which shows the configuration of our ore body. And we have the true width ranging from 4 going as high as 10 meters, even exceeding. And we also you have the mineralization being hosted within the meta-andesite, especially on this section. So this whole drilling that we did at Bubi mine, we delineated a reserve of about 10.9 million tons at a grade of 2.34, which translates to 818,000 ounces. So Bubi mine hosts the majority of the sulfide, having 818,000 ounces as compared to the global reserve of about 1.9 million ounces. So yeah, Bubi has got the majority of the sulfides sitting within the 3-kilometer strike.
Okay, we have taken you through Bilboes Holdings. We are now at Motapa, recently property acquired by Caledonia. For now, we are doing basically exploration, where we are exploring for oxides and sulfides. We have three main strikes here, being the northern strike, which is trending this way. Then we have the central strike, and we have the southern strike.
So basically we are doing the exploration which is being done by 2 contracting teams. I'll hand off the mic to my colleague who will take you through the exploration details.
I'm Eustace Funiro, the Senior Exploration Geologist at Caledonia Mining Corporation. I will take you through over the site plan of Motapa Mining Lease. Our Motapa Mining Lease is a recently acquired property which sits on an area of about 2,224 hectares. And the area, many owners have been owned this place before. Notable, Anglo-American also did exploration. It explored about 48 holes from core drilling with a total of about 6,225 meters, and it defined a resource of about 846,000 ounces from 10 million tons at a grade of 2.5 grams per ton. Anglo-American also did some sulfide mining from the pits, and it mined about to a level of about 11 meters, 11 levels. That is 330 meters underground, and it processed the refractory ore from their sulfide plant. Evident in the mining lease property are the pits that you can see, the northern pits and the central pits and the south pits that were mined by the Anglo-American. Also, there is a tailing facility which bears a resource of about a resource of about 1.5 million tons at a grade of 1.23 grams per ton with 59,000 ounces. There is also a leach pad which bears a resource of about 2.2 million tons at a grade yet to be ascertained. This is all about the property, and I will then take you through to the geology of the area. At Motapa Mining Lease, the area is divided into 3 structural geology, which we can term it as the northern shear structure, the central shear structure, and the southern shear structure. Lithologically, it is subdivided into 2 sections. That is the volcanic unit, which comprises of the southern shear, and the sedimentary unit, which comprises of the northern shear. Largely, the central shear is located at the contact between these 2 volcanic and sedimentary units. That's where we can get the central pits. Then, for these ore bodies, they strike east-west, and most of them, they dip steeply to the south at, say, 75 to 85 degrees to the south. Mineralization is predominantly structurally controlled, and it is associated with sulfide and silicification. Okay. Upon acquisition, Caledonia started on exploration projects, which it embarked on geological mapping, geophysical surveys, aided by the historical geochemical surveys, which were done by Anglo-American. They delineated some anomalies for exploration, and they started on trenching. To date, about 10,000 meters have been trenched, and the outstanding 9,000 meters are yet to be trenched before the onset of the rains. That is September. That's when trenching is yet to be concluded. From the trenching so far that has been done, we have seen grades like 3.3 grams per ton, which can be the highest on our trenches at intervals of about 5.5 meters. Then from our trenching, we delineated areas where we can do the drilling, where we started drilling our core and our RC drilling. On our core drilling, we had 2 companies that we contracted, that is Tandamanzi and SMC Drilling. we had 4,000 meters to drill on core and about 5,000 meters to drill on RC. From our map here that you can see the layout, the green callouts are showing the diamond drilling that we have done so far, and the blue callouts are for the RC drilling that we have done so far. The intersections that you can see here illustrates the drilling that we have done with the intersections. Like you can see from our drilled core drilling, that is, we had an intersection of 3.31 grams per ton at a depth of 1,137 to 142 meters. That is 4.8 meters. Then generally those are the depths and the width that we are defining. For this drilling, some of the holes are targeting the oxide transition and sulfide interface because this is not well defined. On average, on the northern shear, we are getting an oxide zone at around 40 to 50 meters. And when we go to the central shear, it varies too. So these other holes are yet to define that the transition oxide shear zone, where it stands. Also, there are some twin holes that we have done so far. If you can look at the twin hole for JDD8, we did it just to increase our confidence level for the historical drilling of Anglo, so as to enhance our confidence level, although some of the intersections are not 100% telling due to the heterogeneity of our samples, but confirmation is the results we are getting where we expect our intersections. So far, these are the typical intersections for the drilling that we have done. If you can see, the JDD8 is an intersection that was done from this Jupiter hole, from the eastern side of Jupiter door, and we got some good intersections. And also for RC drilling, there is the intersection that we got, that is 3.27 grams per ton over a width of 6.62. That is at a depth of 64 to 71 meters. Remember, I illustrated that we are looking for sulfides and oxides. That's what we are looking for here. And generally, this is what we have for Motapa at our Motapa North, where I can illustrate, and for our geology and our current operations that we are currently doing. Trenching and drilling is ongoing, and we are expecting to finish our drilling by end of September this year, and our resource estimations are expected to be finished by November. For now, we can't say it's prematurely to define the resource, as we are still receiving our assays from our laboratory. I think that's all that I have for Motapa North.
My name is Liberty Nyandoro. I'm an exploration geologist with Caledonia Mining. I'm representing Motapa, so I'm going to show you through the exploration cycle that we've been doing. So far, I'm going to show you on drilling. What we've done is we've done core drilling and RC drilling. Core drilling, I'm going to show you one representative hole. So this hole was drilled at Jupiter Pit. This is JD7 over here. And then to the section, we anticipated to intercept the hole at 67 to 72, and then from 99 to 108. So just going through the lithologies, dominantly we've got a lot of structural play that is taking place on Jupiter, causing that bifurcation of mineralization, and predominantly the dolerites are the later dolerites. Have been intruding this stratigraphy. So stratigraphically, we start with dolerites going into the slates, from the slates going into the quartz porphyries. So we see an interplay of sedimentary stratigraphy in contact with the volcanic fascias. So our mineralization is predominantly structurally and lithologically controlled, where we see intense silicification, sulfidation, and in the oxide zone, we see the structures like microfolding and microfaulting. We do see some limonitization, silicitization, and hematization. This is where we usually expect our mineralization, as well as if we see some bauxite texture. We also know that previously there could have been some pyrites which could have been there at some point in time, and then now we no longer see them. What we see are relic textures now, where we then see limonitization as the infill mineral to that bauxite texture. So this is what we usually gives us insights to what all the expected zones to sample. For this hole specifically, I'll take you and show you some of the microfolding that is taking place, stigmatic folds and chevron folds as well. And then within these zones, we see there's being intensely mineralized as well, silicification, sulfidation. We see the sulfides being predominantly foliation controlled again. We see pyrite, arsenopyrite over there. And then we take samples from these zones 5 meters out, hanging on footwall as well.
We are now on the central shear zone, which is striking east-west like this. The ore body is dipping to the south at 75 to 85 degrees. This shear zone is mainly comprised of the volcanic and sedimentary units. That is, the BIF unit is the major lithology that is within the shear zone. The pits that are comprised of this shear zone are the club section, the brittle, and the brittle east pits. These pits were largely explored for oxides. Historically, about 37,000 tons of oxides were mined at a grade of 1.75 grams per ton. Recently, Caledonia, upon acquisition, it has done the exploration work. We have done the geological mapping, and trenching and drilling is ongoing. About 2 core holes have been drilled at the brittle section, totaling about 330 meters, and also about 16 holes for RC drilling have been drilled, totaling about 3,600 meters. Outstanding 1,200 meters from RC drilling are yet to be drilled and completed by the end of September. From the plan view here, there are the sections that show the drilling that we have done so far. The green highlights are the holes that we have drilled for RC, and the red highlights are for the drilling that is in progress. The section that shows the drill holes that have been drilled currently for RC at an intersection of about 10.95 grams over a width of 3.86 meters have been encountered, and generally those are the width. The width of the ore bodies are narrower but at high grades. Generally, that's all that we have. We are yet to receive other results from the lab. Our external laboratory is receiving many samples from different customers. That's why we are taking so long to receive our assays. But generally, that's all that we have for the central pit.
All right. So moving on to Motapa Central, we can classify Motapa Central as Motapa's greenfield exploration zone, where we've got exploration going on in the ironstones, in the bended iron formations, just in contact, adjacent to the shales and the undersides. So the deeps are 75 to 85 to the south. So for the RC drilling, I'll show you MPRC 02, which was drilled along Motapa Central. Currently, I'll move on to the intersection from 12 to 16, where we had the highest grade intercepted at 12 meters, 39 grams per ton, but the whole intersection from 12 to 16 came down to 10.95 grams per ton over 3.86 meters. So moving on to the cheap trays now, we can see from 12 to 16 we had some bended iron formations, and from 36 to 39 we had another intersection within the meta andesites as well. So the current drilling at Motapa, we can say it still stands at 100% intersection success rate, and we anticipate that we'll continue intercepting some good shallow, good oxide we have some good oxide intersections as we continue drilling, as we continue with further exploration. This is still an ongoing process as well. So we anticipate that by the end of September, we'll have a full batch of our assays, and we will be able to compile a technical report summary by then.
Okay, so I'm standing here with Chester Goodburn, who's the CFO of Caledonia Mining. We're here at the guest house, very nice place in the background where we're actually staying now. So I guess first of all, Chester, we've been to Bilboes and Motapa, big open pit projects, massive scale, very big for, it showcases the open pit potential, right? And you guys have plans to extract the sulfides, which has been left there by the previous operators. Yeah. So could you outline the undertaking in financial terms? What's the sort of capital quantums to build the sulfide and biox processing plant?
No, thanks, Norm. Yeah, the Bilboes Sulfide project's big. It's got a resource of about 1.5 million ounces at a gold price of $18.84 per ounce. That's got an NPV of about $309 million at 10% discount rate, net present value. Yeah. If we take $2,500 per ounce, that puts it over $600 million at a valuation. If you look at the CapEx amounts to about $309 million. That's a peak funding requirement, and in total, we should spend about $402 million. Now it comes down as we start generating revenues in the latter part of the construction phase, but all more very profitable, valuable project.
And if we kind of put that into context, because some critics might say it's too big for Caledonia, but you guys are, if you just remind everyone, what's your enterprise value currently? Yeah,
currently our value is about $240 million. Yeah. Now if you look at the Bilboes project, it's very profitable. Right. A PEA at 1884 generates about $100 million per annum. So we believe the Bilboes project in our estimates can withstand a lot of debt. It's got a very large debt capacity. Yeah. That reduces the need for internal resources to help fund that, and also takes a large chunk of that construction fee and finances that. And that's a very tax efficient way of doing it.
Yeah, and of course you have the cash machine here. We saw the Q2, you did, well, was it 20 million US in operating cash flow?
That's right.
Which is a record for you guys, right?
That was very good. We're smiling at these gold prices. Cash from operations is just over 20 million. So it's really good to see that, and it's doing wonders for our cash balances.
For sure. I mean, if that continues, if you have a 40-60 traditional split for the finance for Bilboes, not too many quarters to have the equity spoken for.
Absolutely.
If you bank up the cash. So maybe you can speak to that. 250 million US in enterprise value. What's the cash portion of that? What's the liability the current debt facility that you guys have? Do you have a facility in place? Maybe you can speak to that as well.
Yeah, we've got about $14 million that's drawn at Q2 end. That's for working capital purposes. We've got some bonds that we've issued in Zimbabwe, all Zimbabwean issued, and that strengthens the debt markets in Zimbabwe. If we look at further debt capacity, there's definitely a lot more debt capacity at a blanket level. Blanket's slowly geared, and definitely a lot of potential to help fund the equity portion to Bilboes.
Right. And in terms of the structure of the financing, we're talking about just over 300 million US to fund. And how much of that is contingency in the PEA? So how much contingency is baked in, or is that part of the 300 million US?
Yeah, the full contingency is baked into the 309 million that I mentioned. And if you break that 309 million down, I mean, a very large proportion of that could be funded by debt because it's so profitable. It's a big cash generator. And these were estimated at very low gold prices. So at high gold prices, Blanket makes more money, Bilboes makes more money, and it helps a lot with the equity component. So, approximately, and this is very much an estimate, we reckon that could easily handle 2/3 of debt, that project value.
Right. Okay, and do you think there's potential to source that locally, or what's the capital market? I mean, you're involved within SIM. Are you able to source some funds here or some investment in SIM? Would be interesting to hear as well.
Yeah, if we look in Zimbabwe, we've issued just over $20 million of bonds, and if you look at other sources of Zimbabwe, we really believe that we can access about 20 to 30 million. That's very much an estimate, but yeah, we can definitely fund a lot of that from Zimbabwe. And Norm, to tell you that, from our VFX listing, that's a Victoria Falls listing, we've actually raised more money from Victoria Falls than elsewhere on our other listings like the NISE or the AIM. So yes, Zimbabwe would be a big consideration when it comes to generating that funds.
That's very good. And then I guess in terms of inflationary pressures, you guys feel you bake that into the PEA as we saw it, but can you just leave some comments on that?
Yeah, I mean, the CapEx estimate has taken into account new numbers. That's landed costs at Bilboes. So all that inflationary increases that you've seen over the last couple of years, that is very much in that number. So we don't, what inflation would do going forward, what we're seeing currently is the Fed's talking about cutting rates, so inflation could come down. I don't have a crystal ball, unfortunately.
It would be nice if you had.
Otherwise, I would have been trading in something else. But wouldn't be talking to you.
Right, exactly. So, and then in terms of the general concerns with Zimbabwe, I mean, you guys are one of the more long-standing and successfully operating here. You have a large-scale project for Zimbabwean standards for sure. So, can you just comment on the fiscal stability here in country? The currency concerns and how taxation and royalties work and so on. For you.
Yeah, as a business, we want that stability. We want to know what our future will look like and play within those rules. And if you look at the tax regime in Zimbabwe, royalties have been very, very stable over several years. I can't even recall actually when it was below or above 5% of revenues. And if you look at the income taxes, it slightly went up and at the end of 2023, effective start of 2024, it went up by 1%, so no real fluctuations we see in the income tax rate. The rules in general has been very stable, and that helps us to predict what's going to happen in Zimbabwe and also play with those rules in mind.
Excellent. And then I guess finally to ask about bringing capital out of the country, how does that work for you? And of course you're paying a dividend, so it's working for you, but can you just outline how it works?
Yeah, so we're one of the few miners that do pay a dividend, and we're quite proud about that. And the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe do have some administrative regulations in place that you got to follow to pay money abroad. And for about the last 12 years, we've actually been paying a dividend, as you said, for local investors and for international investors. And that really proves our ability to realize returns from our gold mining assets in Zimbabwe.
Excellent.
So now we've seen everything. We've seen Blanket, we've seen Bilboes Motapa, the vast potential that lays there, and it's very impressive. So to wrap things up, to summarize, where would you want to see Caledonia in 5 years from now?
Well, in 5 years, we would be disappointed if we haven't clearly funded the Bilboes project, built it, and so if we can, with the most aggressive runway would be to have got the funding in place by the end of 2025. Now, clearly, we're in the hands of the debt bankers, how long they take, but say they can get there by the end of 2025, 26, 27 building, and then start production 2018 into 29. So within 5 years, I would hope to have got the mine Bilboes up and running, producing initially something like 180,000 ounces a year, and then have made some substantial progress in parallel on exploration at Motapa. So hopefully in 5 years' time, we'd then begin to think about how to revisit the development program for Bilboes, factoring in what we at that time we know we've got from Motapa. So I think that could be quite an exciting time for us.